What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show. And today's show, I'm going to tell y'all like this. I'm going away from the mock draft show. I'm over mock drafts because I was sitting here looking at mock drafts and I was going to do my mock draft 2.0, and then I just realized that, you know what, the mock draft is just stupid. I was sitting up in here and I saw how a lot of analysts and a lot of people started switching up their mock drafts based on certain things, based on the combine, which I think is a joke, based on the pro day, which again is a joke. And I figured out that the only thing I'm going to focus on is game film. So from now on, instead of doing a mock draft, I'm going to do a film breakdown of guys that they have mocked to come to the Redskins, or that I've heard people say that they want to come to the Redskins. And not only that, because I think film breakdown is much better than doing a mock draft that basically is just Miss Cleo type of prediction thing. You know, hey, your lucky day may be Tuesday. I don't know. You know, so, and nothing is better than a mock draft where we all thought Baker Mayfield was the third or fourth best quarterback in the draft last year, and he ends up going number 1 overall. So instead, I'm going to focus on film breakdown. So today's show, I'm going to do film breakdown on the quarterback that a lot of people are starting to say that they want to see in a Redskin uniform because of his strong arm. And that quarterback is Drew Lock. Now, for my film breakdown, I'm actually going to break down 4 different games for Drew Lock. And the reason I'm doing that is because I really want to show y'all, you know, what the issues were that I had with him and some of his strengths. So just to start off, the first thing I said in a previous show about Drew Lock, I'm going to tell you his pros. Now, his pros to me is he does have a strong arm. He has a very strong arm, and that is really impressive. The second thing that's remarkable about him is that he doesn't really go all script. And, you know, for a lot of coaches, that means a whole lot to them. Now, his cons of this, he doesn't throw receivers open. A lot of times you see his receivers have to adjust to where he's throwing the ball, and he doesn't really throw them open. He holds the ball too long. I mean, there are a lot of plays where you see where he should have thrown the ball early. The receivers are waiting, like you could tell they were timing plays, and he just held the ball. He stares down receivers. This is something that I'm going to show you in several plays where he just stared his receivers down. He rushes throws. Sometimes the throw isn't there for him to make, and he tries his best to sit up there and make the throw anyway, so in turn it ends up being a bad play. And last but not least, he doesn't go all script. He doesn't really do a lot of scrambling, which is something that I'm actually quite surprised at when it comes to a quarterback of his stature. So with that being said, I'm going to start getting into the game film, so you guys can get an understanding and an idea of what Drew Lock brings to the table as a quarterback and what type of quarterback he might be for the Redskins. So I'm going to start here with his game against Alabama. Now, in the game against Alabama, it was a tough game for him, but his very first play, he threw an interception. Now, I want to get y'all an understanding of that. And this is one of the cons that I talked about with Drew Lock. He sat up here and he basically stared down the receiver and threw this ball. Now, clearly, he didn't give his receiver an opportunity to really adjust himself to the ball. Not only that, the corner was already in place to sit up there and snag the ball. like the cornerback actually had a better bead on the ball than the receiver did. So and I noticed this about Drew Lock. He has this propensity that when he's throwing to the sidelines, he seems to be very inaccurate throwing to the sidelines. So that was something that I noticed when it came to that. Not only that, I think Alabama ended up scoring on that drive because they ran it pretty far back after that. Then it was still first quarter of the game. Again, this is another play in which he sits there and he stares down the receiver again. This play actually shows his arm strength. He was able to throw the ball in between two Alabama players, but again, his receiver had to adjust to the catch, and at the same time, he threw it into an area he probably shouldn't have thrown it into, which is a very bad tendency when it comes to a quarterback that needs to actually show that he's more than a problem causer for teams. So that was something that I noticed with that. And like I said, again, he just stares the wide receiver down. So if you get a safety that is really good in coverage or really good at paying attention to the quarterback's eyes, he's going to get himself in a whole lot of trouble. Now, the next play I'm going to show you is, again, still the first quarter. And he throws this ball behind his receiver. Now, again, this is a play where he just held the ball entirely too long. There's moments where he needs to throw the ball a lot earlier. Now, if I go back a little bit in the play, you can see his wide receiver comes across the pattern, looking him dead in his face, waiting for him to throw the ball. Now, when he finally throws the ball, the wide receiver is past where he's supposed to be at, because Locke was supposed to throw that ball way earlier, and he didn't. So, in turn, what happened was it was a dead play. So, with those three plays, it showed, his propensity to rush a throw, his propensity to sit up there, stare down receivers, and at the same time, it does show his arm strength, but he's prone to those little mistakes. Now, I'm going to show you the game against Georgia. Now, this game was one of the games that, again, I think Missouri, they lost this game. But they didn't really get blown out in the game. So, I just want to show a few plays from there. Again, first play, he's in the shotgun, and he throws the ball, but he throws it almost into the ground. Again, where I said his receivers have to adjust to him, which isn't always the best thing for a receiver, because it makes can you imagine our receivers trying to adjust to a quarterback throwing the ball? It will make it very, very complicated for him. So that was a very tough play for these wide receivers to try to make. The very next play after that, he sits up there. Now, again, it seemed like this play was a timing play, because, again, he held on to the ball. Now, the play still resulted in a first down in a long game, but if he'd have thrown it much earlier, you're talking about this play could have probably still have gotten the same amount of yardage, but it's clearly a timing pattern. So, again, he's there. Now, if you pay attention to right here, the receiver is already waiting for him to throw the ball. The receiver's looking dead at him, waiting for, the receiver's looking like, where's the ball? Almost like the ball, I'm supposed to be here and the ball is supposed to be on me right now. Instead, Locke is holding the ball, and he held it to the point at where the corner had enough time to recover. Now, again, the corner missed the tackle, but again, this is a play that could have been very early on. It could have gotten the same amount of yardage, but at least he would have gotten the ball off a lot earlier. So, it was a massive play. It was definitely a massive play. But again, you're talking about something that could have been done, couldn't have gotten through a whole lot earlier. Now, the very next play after that, he throws the ball into the ground. So I'm not sure if Locke is seeing stuff or he's just, maybe he's inaccurate when he's not comfortable. Again, he doesn't really escape the pocket that well. He just throws the ball, just throws it away. And, he puts himself in very dangerous positions. Now, here we are again. Now, this particular play, I really wanted people to see this play because this is one of those situations where you kind of question if he's looking at what he needs to look at and when he needs to go off a script for things. Now, he didn't even think to try his best to hold the ball or anything to really give his wide receiver an opportunity. Now, this is where I say him staying on script is what also hinders him, because if he goes off script, he might get a better and bigger play. Now, in this play, he threw it to the guy who was right in front of him. But if you look a little bit further at the 20-yard line, there's a wide open guy running across the middle of the field. Now, this is again a pass that I feel he rushed because there was no need for him to rush it. I mean, if you look at this play from the beginning, you can see that he didn't even give himself an opportunity to get the other guy. He has no pressure around him. There's nobody around him. He's by himself. And again, he's throwing off his back foot. But he has nobody around him. The play is slowly developing. There's nobody around the wide receiver right here. And he didn't even give the guy an opportunity to get open where he didn't have any rushing around him. So this is where, Drew Lock has his problems. Now I'm going to focus on the Florida game. Now, in this Florida game, this is another play in which he stares down a receiver who was nowhere near open. And this is where, again, I say that not going off script gets him in all types of trouble. Because let's go back to the beginning of that play. Now, again, this is something where I think it's a time and play. Or even if he just looked off, that would have been well enough as well. But this is one of these plays where you sit up here and you say, why didn't he just change where he was throwing the ball? Now, if you look at this play, already, starting from the play, he's already staring his receiver down. Now, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you see that there's a wide receiver running wide open. Wide open. The safety has already turned his back. The corner's already turned his back. And this wide receiver is wide open. He did not even look at that receiver's way. And he just throws that ball. This guy is covered. But at the same time, you also see he also was throwing it towards the sideline and he wasn't accurate with where he was throwing the ball. Now, here we are again, another read option play. He didn't know where to go with the ball. He just sat up there and he stopped running. Now, here we are with a different play. This is where I say I think a time and play is involved in this. Now, if you see the lineup on the play, you see that there's a 3 wide receiver set on one side of the play. The middle receiver is not being covered. Now, I guess the middle receiver is supposed to be the safety's responsibility. But he's clearly 15 yards away from the guy. So, as I run this play, you can clearly see, boom, right there. Immediately, Locke has held the ball too long because, again, the fact that he didn't see that defense and how that the safety was already 15 yards off of the middle wide receiver on the right side of the field, you can tell that he clearly doesn't see what's going on with defenses because he held the ball too long. He's throwing off his back foot. Then he throws it to the guy who has 2 defenders collapsing in on him. So, when it comes to that, these are the things that I have issues with when it comes to Drew Lock and us drafting him. Again, he does have a very strong arm. He doesn't go off script, which is something coaches really, really love. Especially a coach like Jay Gruden would absolutely love that. But when you think about some of the things just in the film that you see, that arm strength doesn't help him because he's prone to mistakes. He stares down receivers, and at the same time, he sits up there and he doesn't read coverages and defenses like he's supposed to. Like I said again, he rushes throws. You saw on several plays him rushing throws. Him not throw his receivers open, his receivers having to adjust to him. And at the same time, him holding on to the ball way too long. So with that being said, that was the film breakdown on Drew Lock. Tell me what y'all think. Tell me if y'all feel that in some of those plays that I showed you, you guys may feel a little differently about Drew Lock. But these are my feelings about Drew Lock, and this is why I feel that more than likely the Redskins should not draft this guy. My next film breakdown is going to be on TJ Hockenson, the tight end from Iowa. Now, I actually like his teammate Noah Fant a little bit more, but TJ Hockenson can block and he can catch. I'm not sure if he will be like a Gronk style tight end, but he might kind of probably be like Travis Kelce, which is still just as good. So that's going to be my next film breakdown. Other than that, this is your man, John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.